Hello, everyone. Welcome back to E20 Zone TV. This is a late night edition, and I am joined all the way from the US of A by that man, Lucas. How you doing, son? How's the US of A today?
It's cold. We're gonna get a couple inches of snow tonight. But everything's all hunky dory over here.
Good, mate. Good. Right. Title of the show is GSB and Daniel holding back Moyes? And I just want to hear what you think, Lucas, about it. Like, we haven't made a signing. It's day 6, and we keep being linked with loads of players, but nothing is concrete. Why?
I mean, it could be a number of different things, but I feel like it's the same thing every single window. It's overhype, under deliver, and it's. I mean, we say every single time it's sickening, and it gets incredibly infuriating every single time it happens. But now, it's reached a point where it's. I mean, we're still aggravated, but we're almost kind of numb to it and expect it. And I can't tell you, besides incompetency, ignorance, there's loads of words. Unprepared would probably be the best one, which again makes no sense because, I mean, we've had Rob Newman in for how long now? 3.5 months, 3 months.
Long time, yeah.
It's multiple different things, but again, Rob Newman doesn't hold the money. Moyes doesn't hold the money.
Do you think Moyes has targets, but the board are holding him back to a point with what he wants? Like, if for argument's sake, he wants Jonathan David, I use Jonathan David as an example, and he says, right, go and get me Jonathan David, but the board are saying, well, we haven't got that money. Why haven't they not got that money, so to speak? Like, we're in the Europa League, we're doing well in the Prem, we're progressing each time. And the reason why I've decided to do this show tonight is because if we get an injury on Sunday to say Issa Diop or Dawson, they all have to react to that, Lucas.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? What do you think, Lucas?
I mean, I pretty much agree with what you opened with. I think it's the reason is, one, they're terrible owners. We all know that. Burnham City, not much you have to read into that. Just poor management of money. I don't know if you watched the recent Hammers Chat video with Kieran Maguire.
Yeah, I did, mate. Yeah.
And I'm not a numbers guy. I like to spend. I like to spend money. I don't like saving. I like to flash the cash. You know what I'm saying? But I was really listening, and it's just like, it's so incredibly frustrating. Like, when you hear that, I mean, we don't know this for a fact, but it seems true enough that Kieran Brady is making £1.3 million this season for doing fucking what?
Nothing.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
just for being there. Just for being there.
That's a tribe of players right there that we could use that money on for wages. That there's and then you saw that we're towards the bottom in weight, or not towards the bottom, towards the top in wages and we're paying for a bunch of bullshit. Like, there's a few players here that don't need to be here. We all know who the one is. We're seeing stuff that we're having trouble finding a reason to pay certain players that we want what they're worth, but we have players at the club that we are exponentially paying over their
value.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Worth. Yeah, it's
the thing is, Lucas, when I look at it, right, we've known since Obona and Zuma went down that we need a centre half at this club.
And how long has that been now? 2 months?
Well, got to be 2 months. Yeah, I think he went. No, tell a lie. He went down against Chelsea in the beginning of December. Zuma.
Yeah.
So we've known for about 6 weeks that we need a defender in our ranks. Like, there's no choice about it, we need a defender. We also know that we need a left back at this club. Like,
For a
and there's
while.
been for a long time, and we all of a sudden we need a left back right now because you're going to put Arthur in there, who we all know can't defend. I understand people saying don't panic, it's only the start of the window, but when I look at Everton have gone and got a right back and a left back in the space of a week. Like, they've done their business. Like, they went out to
Yeah, I'm
Ukraine.
sorry. When Watford bring in a player
Yeah,
the second or third day of the window, there's
yeah,
no excuse. And I don't
mm,
dislike Watford. I respect Watford.
yeah,
But like that's diabolical. Like
mm.
that is I don't even want to say embarrassing. That's just unacceptable.
Why do you think? And I asked this to Athers the other day, and I'm going to ask you. Right? Why do you think Jesse Lingard is not signed, sealed, delivered already? Like, he's been at Manchester United for a while now, right? For the last 6 months, he was with us last season. Why is this man not signed? And if he plays at the weekend, Lucas, right, is that goodbye from? Because if he's not in the FA Cup, but if he's cup tied, then that to me says it all. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think it's a mix of both, like we've been trying to figure out for quite some time now. I mean,
Mm,
we've talked about it for God knows how long now, ever since he went back and he hasn't been playing for months upon months. We mentioned several times he's only played 46 Premier League minutes this season, and of course,
mm,
scores a winner against us in beautiful fashion. I think in total he's played 70 minutes altogether this season in all competitions.
yeah,
Um, and then it's our board, like we're penny pinching as always. Like for example, I I mainly just try to stick to what X reports, and I try not to strangle on to other
yeah,
other sources. Usually what I stick to is X and the Athletic. I find those the most reliable.
mm.
It's a sad day for the Athletic. They just got bought out by the New York Times today. Terrible,
Bloody
terrible
hell.
day.
Do you know
But
what I mean?
but like for example, there was a report the other day, not from one of the sources I said, but it's just a
Mm,
little example of what we already know when it comes to Penny Pinch and Sullivan.
yeah.
Apparently, we tried to get Nat Phillips for £7 million when Liverpool have said we want £15 million, and we try to undercut them
Nothing
55%.
changes, mate. Yeah, nothing
And
changes,
it's
Lucas.
like,
Listen.
and that's why it's hard to decipher
Mm,
between, is it a Lingard thing or is it a board thing? And I want to. There's no reason for me to not say like it's the board, because when you constantly see stuff like that, it's like how can you put the blame on Lingard?
mm.
Like
I don't think you can.
we got
I
to do
don't
our
think you can.
part. It takes two
And
to tango, and we don't like to dance.
nah, no, we can't dance, mate. That's more to the point. I just want to put this comment out from Jazza. He says Everton and Watford are desperate for players. We are not. We can't compare ourselves to them. We're in a different situation. I disagree with that
I
totally.
do as
I
well.
respect Jazz's opinion, but I do disagree with that. We need a centre half at this club urgently,
I
a
think
good one.
Everton and Watford still have way more players in their squad than us.
Yeah, right.
Uh,
And we need a left back.
yeah.
There's no two ways about it. I don't know how many times I've done
Everton
it on
brought
them
in their new left back first
straight away.
as soon as the clock struck midnight.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. As soon as the clock struck the 1st of Jan, that deal was done. Now, to me, why is it that we've only got one left back at the club, and the other lot can't are no good?
And
Do you
to
know
be
what I mean?
f-
Like,
and to be
it's
fair
poor.
with Lingard, I think the whole domestic and abroad transfer stuff, I don't think we can bring in Lingard until a certain date or whatever.
Mm,
I can't remember exactly, but I mean we've been looking at other players and stuff too. Like we need a striker. We've been linked with several, Gabriel, Cabral, Jonathan David, a
mm,
bunch, and it's like At this point, like, I hate being in the mindset where it's like, just please get me anyone. I don't care who it is. Just get me someone. Like, that's
Yeah,
not the
but
way we should be operating.
I understand that, Lucas. I understand that. Don't get me wrong. I understand that. And I just see a comment in there from West Ham Online saying, well, we can't panic. We've got to make sure it's the right person. But this geezer's had 3 months to get this organised. I'm not asking to draft up a quick player search in three
Newman, the
weeks.
board,
Yeah.
they've had 3 months
As
to
soon as,
prepare a
uh,
list and get the funds not accoladed, but like
yeah.
at least have some sort of meeting or just something. Be like, is it possible to get these guys? No. Is it possible to
And
get them?
they
Yes.
must know which ones are gettable, what players are gettable.
Like, will
Like,
we all love Jonathan David? Absolutely.
yeah.
That would be my dream striker signing
And that's what I
this
can't
January.
understand. Like, what people are forgetting is that come next week we're going to have 2 Premier League games, right? We're going to have no Ben Rama, right? We've only got 2 centre halves who are poor at present. Let's be honest, they are poor in Dawson and Diop, both of them. Dawson is the better one out of the two, and that says a lot about Diop,
Two
right?
games, 4 days.
We've got a left back in Mezawaku who can't defend, right? So we are thin on the ground massively. Like, so what has Rob Newman and Moyes been doing? Like, I know he's been on gardening leave. I understand all that, but surely, and something Afa said last night, and that's why I've done this show. What's he been doing for the last sort of X amount of time? Like, do you know what I mean? They must have a budget, and they must know who's gettable. If Liverpool want 15 million for Nat Phillips, I think he's a decent player. He's 23, I think he is. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Go and get him. Right? It's 15 million pounds. Or if you want to get Colette a car, go and get him. Like, why is it that West Ham wait till like the last 4 days of the window? Like, what do you think, Lucas?
Again, just like with all the stuff we hear about the board, it's so hard to not put the blame on them. And I don't know if there's been any stories or headlines or leaks about if Newman and Moyes haven't put together a list or if they've had a list.
Mm.
But
I'll tell you what, Lucas. I use this as an example, right? Luca Dina, Everton, left back.
this is
We
going to
all
be too
know,
easy of an example.
right? We all know, right? We need a left back. Yeah, he's a good player. Ex-Barcelona, French international, decent player, right?
He's
Why are West Ham?
played with
What?
three or four of our guys that we have on the
Yeah,
squad.
right. Why is he not front and centre of Moyes saying, right, get that geezer in because he's decent? Like, he's a decent footballer. Like, I see something in the chat just a minute ago saying about Barbosa and saying that he's got behavioural issues. That's why he wants to have a loan for 18 months. Who in their right mind is going to loan a player for 18 months? Really? Like,
with no permanent buy clause.
yeah.
That's just terrible business. And again, like it's West Ham, and it just is so infuriating. Makes no sense. And with Lucas Digne, it's like I saw something from X, and it is fair. Or there's two things. So one, apparently this part isn't from X. Apparently the 100 grand a week is a stumbling block, which makes no sense at all. He isn't £100 million a week player, or at least close to that. Like really, what is the difference between 80 to £100 million? Just pay the extra 20 because at this point we need him. He's worth the price of demand. And then the second part from X, apparently Moyes wants to dig deeper and see why him and Rafa have had a falling out, which that's fair because as we know, West Ham, we don't put up with any bullshit like that, or at least we don't like to, and we do a pretty good job steering away from that. But again, it's just like we are past a call to action. We need like, if we're being realistic, we always put on a we've been using a scale for a little bit now where it's like, all right, bare minimum we need 2 players. If we want to finish top 8, top 6, we're going to need 3. If we want to push for top 4, we need 4.
100% agree,
And
mate.
I'm tired, like it's just getting exhausting having to use that because like it's just not even at that point. Like we just need players. We need players so we can rotate because we're West Ham. Someone is gonna get hurt. For all we know, knock on wood,
Yeah.
Diop is gonna get hurt. Masuaku or Ben Johnson will get hurt, and we are completely utterly screwed. Like
Mm.
who are we gonna play left back if Masuaku and Ben Johnson go
But
down?
do you? I just want to get this comment up, right? Because I respect Jaz's opinion, right? He says, yeah, Dino's a good player, but he may not fit the way we play or have the right attitude. We can't afford to spend wages when we're 100% certain a player fits the bill perfectly. The problem is with that, I get that, but there's millions of players out there. Why is there not someone else then who's coming in?
I agree with that. What he
Can you
said, I totally respect. It was
like? But can you see what I'm saying though? Like,
yeah.
why? If this player doesn't fit the system, I understand that, right? There's millions of players on this planet. Are you telling me that Moyes cannot find a left back out there and get it done? Like, it's
Realistically, you would like to think that Rob Newman and Moyes would have some sort of priority list. Like
mm,
let's say they put on their list we need uh left back, center back, striker, winger. So 4 positions. You would like to think that both of them put those on their list and they provide like 5 to 10 players in each position. And then they rank them in
mm.
priority of who they like the best. They go to the board, be like, "Hey, can you get us I don't know, a value or some shit like that on them?" And
Mm.
then just like a checklist, you just check it off if they're not available. Just keep
Yeah,
checking
but do you
off.
think though, Lucas? Do you think that is this Moyes being like dithering Dave, stubborn in like if he wants a player, that's the player he wants, and everyone else is irrelevant? Or do you think it's the bold that will not fund the players that Moyes wants?
Can I say both?
I think it is a bit of both, mate. If I'm being honest, the more you sort of divulge into it, how can you have it that you've got uh we've only got two centre halves at the club, and then people say putting in the youngsters.
Yeah,
Sorry, but they're not good enough yet. Right, they're not.
as much as I've watched sports my whole life, there's got to be some sort of middle ground. So, for example, we're talking about West Ham. We're gonna do that. So, like Jesse Lingard, I think Moyes has a right to be stubborn on that, especially
Right.
if Lingard's only going to cost £10 million now. Like that's £10 million, dithering Dave, and I'm talking Sullivan. Like £10 million in my eyes for Moyes is something to be stubborn over. Like I want Lingard. He wants to come. I
Yeah.
want him. If you don't get me him, we're gonna have a huge problem. Now, if it's Jonathan David, I can see where Sullivan and the board are coming from because again, we all don't know for sure how much we have to spend, but we have seen certain numbers float out there like £40 million because of Kretinsky. But again, like that, if like say if we wanted Jonathan David this window, I can
Yeah.
understand us the board not buying Jonathan David because that's all of our budget
But
for
the
this
thing
window.
is, this is the thing. This is the thing. Sorry to interrupt, Lucas. Yeah, but this is the
There you
thing.
go.
I can't understand why. Where's the ambition then? Like
I
we're
totally
fifth.
agree.
We're fifth in the league. We're in a crest of a wave here. We've done the same thing last year. We brought in Jesse Lingard and he turned into a gem. Right, great. Yeah, we was that close to getting Champions League this
This is
year.
the third time in the last 5 to 6 years we've been in the same exact
Mm,
scenario. Last year at Bolin, last season, and right now. West
yeah,
Ham, the West Ham that I know, that is close to hitting the lottery. Who would have ever thought we'd be in this situation 3 times? 3 times in 6 seasons?
mm.
That is just
But
unprecedented.
the problem is with it, and this is whether anyone agrees or disagrees with me, please tell me in the chat. But everyone, I keep hearing this about we're fifth. Don't worry, we're fifth, we're sixth, we're
I
fourth,
hate that as well. I
right?
hate that.
But at the end of the season, we won't be fifth.
No.
Like not with if If the
Not with
squad is
22 squad players.
yeah, and not one, only having one left back at the club who can defend, and having two centre halves who are really poor at present. Like, if you think we're finishing fifth or fourth, you're deluded. I'm sorry, but you are. Like, there needs to be massive investment at West Ham, right?
We'd be lucky to
Like,
finish 8th.
like the Pellegrini spend, right? I've brought this up with Affers before, yeah. When Affers comes on this channel, me and him sort of get into it about that. Why is Moyes not being given the money required to go out and go, right, Jesse Lingard, 10 million, right? Left back, whatever amount. Yeah, go and get a centre half. Like, we're not asking them to go out and buy 25, 30 million pound players, each one of them.
We're not asking to buy 4 Jonathan Davids, for Christ's sake.
No, exactly that. Right. So why is it that it's sort of? I think it's more. I think Moyes is very stubborn in who he wants at the club. Yeah, but I think the owners are only giving him drips of dough, like drips of cash.
I think it's multiple things. Like,
yeah,
they just like with Allaire, they probably have PTSD of dropping huge money on a striker again, and then they have PTSD again of how much did Pellegrini spend again? Over 100 mil, right?
He had about 100 million. Yeah, like when you sort of weigh it all up, all the signings. Yeah,
like when you try to take the badge off and the bias aside, when you get burned for 100 million pounds in a business, that does hurt. No matter how rich you are, unless you're United, Chelsea, Real Madrid, Barcelona, like that's not really gonna hurt. But like,
I've got to read that out quickly. Yeah, James, they won't spend because it's Sully's kid's inheritance, which is probably true, mate. It probably is.
And you just have to think that they don't want to get burned again if they give a manager, let's say, another 100 million pounds to spend. But I don't know what more Moyes has to do to prove that he deserves some money to spend. And again, me personally, I like that Moyes is a bit stubborn, just because it shows he wants who he wants, and he thinks that's what's gonna take us to the next level. And then he's probably, and we all know Moyes is not stupid. He is stubborn, but not stupid. He's definitely thinking about Declan Rice as well. Like, who can we get in that's not only going to take us to the next level, but it's going to keep Declan Rice here, keep him happy. We're going to push for Champions League.
It's a good point. It's a good point that you're saying there, because look at it like this: if we don't invest, Declan could look around and go, "You know what? I don't want to be here. Like, what's the point?" Do you know what I mean? Listen, I understand him being sort of reserved in who he signs. I get it. Like, it's West Ham, this ain't Manchester United, but there must come a stage where it's got to be a bit of both. I think Moyes has to sort of start lightening up a bit and going, right, let's get these players, and like, because we've got a lot of players that how many links have we had in these 6 days of the transfer window?
6. Right? Try the 4 months. We've had to been linked with over 100.
That's what I'm saying. And when you look at it, right, and I've looked at, I've heard links saying about Cabral, Cabral from Basel. It's going to be in here in Wednesday. It ain't going to happen. This is West Ham United. They're not organised. And for me, I understand people's reserved judgment. I get it, but next week we're going to have 2 Premier League games. We're going to have Norwich. We're going to have Leeds, and then obviously we've got Leeds on Sunday this week. So by the time West Ham sort of pull their finger at their arse and go, you know what, we need some players at this club, right? It won't. Don't be surprised if it comes to the Man United game on the 22nd, I think it is. Like, and by that time, we've played 3 or 4 games, like 3 games by then. Do you know what I mean? But
I want Lingard in so he can do what he did to us, to Man United.
Yeah,
we need him in by then.
I agree, mate. I agree. I said, James, they won't sign anyone, you saucy boy. Only joking. Yeah, I know, mate. I know. If they, let me put it like this, Lucas. If they sign one player, if they sign just Jesse Lingard and no one else, would you be satisfied with that?
I'd be fucking fuming.
Right. If they sign,
we've said this a bunch of times. We all love Lingard. We all want him back. but him as a player in the position he's in, he is at the bottom of our priority list.
Mm.
And as much as I do love him and want him back and how much of an impact he can make, if he was
Yeah.
our one only signing, I'd be fucking fuming. Like, because that just totally disregards everything we've been wanting, pushing for, and it's almost a spit in the face to the supporters, honestly.
Mm. I just want to get to this comment from Jazza because I've actually been monitoring this geezer up in Nottingham Forest. He looks tidy. Uh, Brennan Johnson, Welsh player, I think he is, 20 years old. He looks very, very good. Fast, lively, winger, good with both feet, beats people, knows where the goal is. That's the sort of players that West Ham should be going for. Like if they need to get in there before the big boys get in there, if that makes sense. So I make Jazza right on that. There's another comment here. It's been longer than 6 weeks. We should have been looking at a centre back since Bonner went down. Now Bonner went down against Liverpool, right?
Yep.
He went down, and then we all knew that we needed a centre half. So I make Nicky right there. Like this should have been done. Like these players, like if you're going after Nat Phillips, who you know's out, I think he's out. He's not out of contract, but
he signed a 3-year extension. So
yeah,
because he's like one of those players that if he could stay at Liverpool for the rest of his career, he'd be happy just being within the squad. So he signed that 3-year extension. So it was like it's almost like a Declan Rice kind of ordeal, I guess, where it's like Declan Rice might sign like a little extension for us so we can get what he's worth.
Yeah.
If he were to do that, that's what Nat Phillips did. But for £15 million is what Liverpool are evaluating him at.
Is £15 million a lot of money in today's market for a centre half who's 23, Premier League proven? He might not have played loads of games in the Premier League.
In theory, no.
Right. So
absolutely not.
You know what I mean?
Especially for what he did. Which I'm not Nat Phillips' biggest fan, but for what he did, when he came in and filled in for Liverpool, I think, in my opinion, I think £15 million is a little much, but it's fair. It's a fair price.
I think it's reasonable, mate. Like because he's only going to get better, isn't he, Lucas?
You
would
assume so, yeah.
Like he ain't going to get any worse. Like, I just want to bring this comment up there from Jason. Yeah, he said, "Any news on who's got COVID at West Ham?" I have no idea, mate, but that's a pretty valid point there. Also, we've got to put COVID into the equation. So if we lose, say we lose Issa or Dawson, all right, we've got no cover. It's mad, mate. It's mad.
We're gonna have to play a 3 in the back of Masuaku, Johnson, and Sufal.
Yeah, it's just for me. Like, I know it's only day 6. And I've gone round all the channels. I've had a little like butchers and what everyone's saying. Everyone's saying the same thing. Like we've been linked with him, linked with him, linked with him, linked with him. All right, get all that. You like Hammer's chat obviously brought on Kieran Maguire, accountant, understandable. Right, he's telling us how well we're doing. Yeah, but we don't see nothing. Now, when will we see something? Will remain to be seen. Right, we'll see over the next week. And next week, I will sit here next Thursday, wherever I am in the world, right? And I will go, right, what's going on this week? Because, like, I called this. I said there won't be a signing in the first week of the window. Like, we signed a young lad from Northern Ireland, but he's not a first teamer. He's for the under 23 academy, right? But when it comes to it, Lucas, right, I was just going to ask you this before we sort of come towards the end. I said, if we sign one player, you'd be pissed off. And someone else said that in the chat. If we sign 2 players, how will you feel? If we sign Lingard and a centre half, would you be satisfied with that?
It's just not good enough.
So we really need 3 players, which I believe we need 3 or 4. If we're gonna go for the top 4, we need 3 or 4 players. There's no.
I think
2 ways about it.
If we really, again, we take the badge off, we take our bias aside, and we examine our squad. With the way Bowen has played recently, and he's the last handful of times he's had to play up top, he's looked pretty good. So I guess you could maybe make a claim we don't need a striker as bad as we think we do, which I disagree with.
Yeah,
I think that should be our top. Actually, center back would be mine, and then striker.
Hmm.
But 2, again, taking the badge off. 2 has to be. I don't even know what's lower than bare minimum.
It's you got a point, don't you? Like, what is bare minimum? Like, because we know deep down, I think everyone in the chat, if they was to put it down in the chat right now, how many players they need, I think a lot of them would turn around and say between 3 and 4 players
I
straight
think
away.
again, I didn't want to do the scale, but we all know like 2 is less than bare minimum. Like if
Mm,
we wanna fight or flight, we gotta get to 3. If we got 3, you can make an argument we could fight for 4th, finish top 6, or finish top 8. If we got
mm,
4 players, Lingard, a striker, center half, and a left back, I don't see why we couldn't push for top 4.
mm.
But again, like I'm tired of. I mean, we put so much of our time. A lot of people put their money into the club with shirts, tickets, yada yada yada,
Yeah.
and it's just we don't deserve the bare minimum anymore. When we know like what the board has, what's available, the new investment, a new stakeholder. We know what
Mm.
we have and what is reasonable and what we should expect, and we just consistently come up short.
Thing
And
is, what something you just said there, Lou. Sorry to interrupt, but something you just said, like all the people who go like home and away, buy merchandise. I mean, like Mitchell, for instance, who's been on this channel, he was on this yesterday, right?
mhm.
He goes home and away. Like he's a proper West Ham fan. I'm not saying anyone else who ain't, like if anyone sort of shoots me down, but he goes home and away. He's pumps his money into the club. Now, like you just say, what is bare minimum? Now to me, bare minimum is 3 players. Like
I
we need a left
agree.
back, we need an attacking midfielder, and we need a centre half. And that is the minimum. Like if I do believe we need a striker at this club to challenge Antonio, but if someone said to me right now, you're going to go and get Jesse Lingard, you're getting a left back, and you're going to get centre half, I'll be happy.
I'd
I'll be
take
like,
it.
no, I'll be like, sweet, that'll do. All right, Lingard can play all across the front line. Uh, so yeah, do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, but nah, it is what it is, mate. Do you know what I'm saying? It is what it
Yeah.
is. But what do you think in regards of players though? Who would you like to see come in? Like obviously we've all heard the names:
Okay.
Cabral, Barbosa,
Yeah. I'm gonna
David.
keep it. I'm gonna keep it super realistic. We're not getting Jonathan David this window. We're not.
Do you
We're
think we
not.
will? Do you think we will get him though?
With all the bullshit we've heard about numbers and like
Mm,
Moyes saving the money the board gave him for the summer, which he didn't use, and apparently he's going to use it this summer. I don't know. If I would like to say yes if those stories and rumors are true. But
mm,
for this January, I don't see why it isn't realistic that we cannot get Jesse Lingard for 10 to 15 million pounds. I don't see why we cannot, let's just say, Lucas Digne on loan, which
mm,
I've heard loads on loan with a future to buy.
mm,
So that's we're still at 10 million pounds plus wages. And then Nat Phillips for 15, so that's 25 million pounds. And then Adam Holzjek, loan to buy, which we all know. I still think that is a guaranteed, like that's
I,
happening.
I think if that happens, and if that's the only player they bring in, I think you are putting a lot of pressure on a 19-year-old to
Exactly.
come in.
Yeah, which is
Right. Don't
which
get me
I don't
wrong.
I don't agree with that,
Don't
but
get me wrong. I think he's decent. I think he's going to be a top class player. But to bring in a 19-year-old like now, like
yeah,
maybe you could bring him in for 6 months, but you need to bring in more than just him. Do you know what
yeah,
I mean? Like,
yeah, I agree.
do you know what I'm saying? So
But
I
I
don't
think
know.
Lingard, Phillips,
Hmm.
and Digne on a loan to buy is extremely doable. That's 25 to 30 million pounds at most. And if we can't spend that, I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah.
Especially if we're saying we're a top six club, we're a big six, we want to fight for Champions League. I want to see the money do the talking, and then the play on the pitch speak for itself.
Yeah. Like Epic says here, yeah, there's no way the club would have signed all these scouts and got Daniel in, obviously, and would have a piece of the club with no intention of to invest. I just think it's Moyes dithering. Partly, I agree with Epic on that. I do. But also, I do think that I don't think GSB are looking to spend, because I think in 2023, which is a year's time, right from now.
That's another thing we forgot to mention. Like they're done after next season.
Yeah, they are done. And why would they go and pump in, say, loads of money, make West Ham successful, and then leave? Like,
but at the same time, they could, which again, we all know from recent actions, they sure don't like to bet on themselves or gamble on themselves. If they did like a punt or to gamble on themselves, they would invest. We'd get Champions League, and they would make a hell of a lot more money.
Yeah,
but
I must admit
they're cowardly. So
they are, really, mate. They are. Like, and me and Afa spoke about this yesterday, and I turned around and I said, "Do you think that they are acid stripping the club of players?" It does look like it, mate. It really does. When you sort of weigh it up, and I heard this last year, right? I'll get to Jazz's comment in a minute and a few others. And I looked here, 2 years ago when we signed Bowen and Souček, someone said that to me. They said, "Don't worry, James, they're acid stripping the club," like deep down. And last year just proved it. When they got rid of Haller, they brought in a lone player in Lingard. They haven't really replaced any players since Anderson, Balbuena, Haller. And when you look at what we've got, if you sort of go deep into it, you look at Bonner's 35 when he comes back from his injury. You look at Cresswell's 31. Dulce's 31, I think. Mazawaku's no good. Like, in our back line, we've signed Zuma, which is a great signing, don't get me wrong. Amazing signing for West Ham. But he's the only real one. Like Ben Johnson could leave at the end of the season if they don't pay the money for a new contract. Yeah. So it's a lot of, when you start weighing it up, it don't look like pretty from their side. Mickey says, when Moyes wanted to El Nesri, but said he wasn't available at the time, so we all thought we was going to go for him in the summer. Just gone. What does he say? He ain't going to do that again with David, basically.
It could be true.
100% agree with him on that. Because what about, go back 18 months ago when Maxi Gomez, remember him? Remember Maxi Gomez? Oh, we're going to go for Gomez.
That saga made me sick.
Mate. And then we had the Baka, the Colombian. Right?
And then the Milinkovic saga made me sick too.
What they do, and they do it every single time, is they chuck names out there so the fans get hyped up, go out, buy stuff, Oh, we're going to get him in the summer, right? Like Mickey was saying there about El Nesri. Go and buy their season tickets and everything, and then don't bring no one in. Literally, you know what I mean? Jazza says, James, would you take Danny Rose? Absolutely not, mate. Would not take him at all. I'll drop off at an airport. That's about it. No, not for me. Not for me. I know we did left back, but do you know what? Don't be surprised if that was to happen.
Give me a 16-year-old from League One, honestly, over Danny Rose. He's done. He's finished.
Like Shiny G says, James been singing the same song since the last window about positions to fill. Shit transfers then has put us under pressure now. I agree. But when you look at it, Lucas, before we come towards the end, because I'm going to go through the comments and I'm going to wrap up, right? When you look at the summer transfer window, really, we've only got one signing, ain't we? Who's been top draw in Zuma.
Yep.
Vlasic is a player who's got potential, but he's just not ready.
Yeah,
I said this like the other night. I think Vlasic can be good in time, as I keep hearing, but we need him now. Like, we need this player now to perform because
Most
we're fifth.
likely we need him now.
Yeah, most likely we need him now. Like, it's okay in performing in 18 months, but
Yeah.
in 18 months we could be sitting 7th. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? So it's we need him now, right? You've got Alex Crowell who don't play, and you've also got Areola who only plays in cup games. Now, when you look at that window back in the summer, would you have said, did you think that was enough, or did you think we needed more?
I didn't think. I if I can remember, I think I might have given that like a 6.5 out of 10 window because me personally, I'm a Connor Coventry fan, and I didn't want to see him go out alone because I thought he had a pretty good preseason. So Crowell, I mean, I thought Crowell was all right because we needed another central midfielder, so he came in. Zuma was a class signing. He's gonna. I mean, you could debate that he's close to world class. I mean, he plays for France, almost first choice. He's right there. Areola.
He's France's number one, mate. I'm telling you that now. Like,
I'll tell you this right now. If somehow by the grace of the man upstairs, we do not sign Alphonse Areola for £11 million, I don't think I will ever be able to forgive this board or Moyes if it somehow comes out, if it's one of their faults. That would be the worst piece of business we have ever done in the history of this club.
I 100% agree with you, mate. And just to sort of counter that, I just want to say this, Lucas. Yeah, Shawnee G says, how much more will Areola be worth when he becomes France's number one? It's an investment with a guaranteed turnaround.
We could get him for £11 million, and when he becomes France's number one, and I honestly, mind you, I've always thought Lloris was a little overrated, but he is good. He is a good keeper. But yeah. I think Alphonse Areola is right there. But once he becomes France's number one, he's going to be worth like £60 million. Like, again, I hate to look at people and players as just like as money or investment or return on investment. But I mean, that's got to be one of the easiest bets. That's got to be one of the easiest bet slips in the world right there.
And do you know what it is? This is what I've been hearing, like through the grapevine, basically. That it's all about the wages now with Areola. I think West Ham would make it Areola a permanent signing next year, but he's come down his wages, but West Ham won't go up to his wages. If that makes sense. Like, and
again, it's another.
The Sam Johnson rumor is surfacing again. I'm like, please don't go and get Sam Johnson for crying out loud.
And it's not even that I dislike Sam Johnson. I think he's a solid keeper, and getting him on a free is pretty solid business. But when you can purchase Alphonse Areola for £11 million, and he is easily worth like 150 grand a week. That is easy. I think that's probably the most I would go. But I think
even if he's worth 100 grand a week, Lucas, we're paying Yarmolenko, who sits on the bench, and he's on 115 bags a week. The problem is, and I keep seeing this with people saying about, oh, you can't pay him that, but what about Declan Rice? If you want
Declan Rice has turned down three of our contract offers.
Yeah, and I don't think Declan. I don't like to be sort of negative, but I don't think Declan will be here in 18 months. Like, the only thing about that,
Declan, and I respect this because everyone has to do it, especially in Rice's situation. He's just playing the game.
Yeah,
and he's doing it respectfully, of course. He's just playing the contract game, and Declan Rice does not give a shit about how much he's getting paid. He's probably the last player in this club that cares about what his wage is, and that's a fact.
Yeah, I agree.
Besides Mark Noble, of course.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I really do. Obviously, people are saying about Aki. I'd like.
That'd be a dream for me.
Yeah, Jazza says, "What about Diego Godin, ex-Atletico Madrid defender? I think he's a Uruguayan, ex-Uruguayan,
like 35.
35. But have we not gone past that back years ago when we had Pellegrini and we had Bilic and we were signing all these sort of 35-plus-year-old players?"
I mean, like I told you, I hate having to like concede to the I hate to concede to the idea of desperation signings, but we are almost approaching the point where I don't care who we get in. We need bodies. We need bodies. Like
Mhm.
I don't like Danny Rose. Danny Rose is absolute wank. He fucking stinks. But
Yeah.
if you told me Danny Rose or nothing, I might take it. We need a backup. We need a body. We need
Yeah.
someone.
But his attitude, mate. People say about his like.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I watched that. I've seen a documentary of him in it, the Spurs thing. Right, his attitude was filth, mate. Like I want, like when they were having a fight with each other in the change rooms, that was quite hilarious. But John says here, yeah, what do you guys think of the link about Naby Keita at Liverpool? Not for this window, but for the summer. We're going to need another a central midfielder when Noble retires. Now, if that happens, and that is a link, and that's a strong link for the summer, there is no Alex Crowley. As simple as that.
And that would be another class signing. I've always rated Naby Keita.
But the only problem with him, he gets injured quite a lot.
And he doesn't really play that much at Liverpool.
Yeah, I suppose so.
And they signed him for £60 million.
Yeah. Also, West Ham Online said, "Would you take Sarr from Chelsea?"
I would.
For me, he's young. Do I know a lot about him? No, not really. I'd be lying if I said I know a lot about him. I know. Let's be honest. Chelsea's academy is, I think, one of the best in the country. They do develop some decent players, I must admit. Would they loan him to a rival?
No.
That's another thing. Like, would they loan him to us? I don't think they would. I can't remember last time West Ham loaned.
That's another thing that just popped into my head that could also work out for us with Lingard. Is I've been seeing there's a good possibility that we might be able to loan him for the last 6 months, and then if we loan him for that 6 months, we would be first to negotiate with him on a new contract.
100% agree, mate. 100% agree.
Like with Man United, what would you think they'd rather have? £10 million, or we loan Lingard, get all of his wages off their books. Done.
I think what it is with Lingard, and I'll say this and then I'll wrap it up. I think what it is with Lingard is the bonuses, Lucas. Yeah. He's got, in his contract, he's got bonuses and sort of endorsements in his contract. Yeah. And if he goes and puts a transfer request in, I think it voids all that. Yeah, that's what I believe. Well, I might be wrong, but that's what I believe. I think he won't do a transfer request because he's a Manchester United fan. He's been there since a kid. He supports the club.
Yep.
I can't see it. I think the loan, then to buy him at the end of the season, like a £10 million purchase at the end of the season,
it would negate all that.
It would negate all that. But why? What makes me laugh is why don't we just buy this player? Like, you know what I mean? I just don't understand it. Like, and why I've noticed we're loaning players and then purchasing them, but instead of just going out like the Balboa one.
FC.
Yeah, loan to buy FC, mate, 100%.
Loan to buy with a future fee, FC.
Yeah. Jazza says, James, there's another one. I'm not even going to pronounce his name. But what do you think of him? He could be quality.
I haven't seen enough of him.
Do you know what I mean? All I want to say before we wrap it up, right, is that come next Thursday, I'm sitting here with a player in the door. Like by next Thursday, we would have played Leeds in the cup, Norwich in the league.
And what will the date be?
The date will be the 14th.
13th for me, sorry. 14th for you.
Yeah.
If we don't have at least one player in, that's bad. That's really bad. Really, really bad. Just really bad. Like realistically, I would like to, if I could break down the rest of January on how I wouldn't mind it unraveling.
Right.
I would like to get in a center back or a left back, a defender. If we can get in a defender by next week, that'd be a solid start. And then if we could get in Lingard, let's say by the Man U game, that'd be nice.
Do
Then
you
that
think if we sign Lingard, Lucas, do you think we sign him before we play Man United? I don't think we will.
it's tough.
Yeah,
If I had to
I
put
just,
my
I,
money on it, I probably agree with you. I don't think
yeah,
so. But
yeah, I can't see that happening
and I
at all,
wouldn't,
mate.
and I personally wouldn't mind if he was our last signing because I
Oh, if
think.
he was our last signing, I'm great. Like, go and get a left back, go and get a centre
But
half, and I think we,
if we could get if we can get a defender by next week, and then
mm,
another defender the following week,
yeah,
and then a striker halfway through the next week, and then Lingard's our last signing, that would be a beautiful window. That would be a 10 out of 10, and I really could care less who the players are. We
yeah,
just filled the positions we needed, and that's all right now we can ask for, especially with who we know is doing the deals, who's got the
mm,
money, because we all know there's a circus going up over there.
right. So if it comes to next Sunday, we've just played Leeds in the Premier League,
Mm-hmm.
and we haven't signed anyone. How will you be looking at it? Will you be concerned, basically? Because I'm concerned
One
now,
million percent.
and I'll tell you the reason why I'm concerned now is because we've got 3 games in a week, and we haven't really got any cover. But we're chucking people in positions who ain't good enough.
Yep.
So we need cover. And when you look, like you say, you look at Watford, you look at Everton, you look at Newcastle. Newcastle will go out and they're looking at getting Trippier.
They already
They're
got him.
looking, yeah. They're looking at someone else on the other side. Can't think who it is at the minute off the top of my head, but they're looking at a left back. I think it is. Oh, Luca Dina. Right. So if they go and get Dina and Trippier, that's their left and right back sorted out. Do you know what I mean? We haven't, and for some reason, and I don't mean to criticise, and this is not nothing against anyone, but when it comes to West Ham, we act slow, we act reactionary, but we only react to a situation when something happens, right?
We
And
don't
that's
plan. We
why,
don't plan for it.
yeah, no, oh yeah, we'll just wait, right? We'll wait.
We'll
That
wait
ain't good
till it
enough.
punches us in the face.
It ain't that. If guarantee you, right? If
Mike
Dawson,
Tyson once said, "No one has a plan until you get punched in the face,"
I know, mate, and I'll
and
tell
that
you what,
seems to be West Ham.
that's it, mate. The sooner, I'll be honest with you, and this is my own personal opinion. The sooner GSB get out, the sooner we can progress as a
So
club.
you can get yourself to a match.
I can get myself to a match, mate, but I can also. What it is, Lucas, is that I want to see West Ham progress. Like
Yeah,
and I know that we're there. Yeah, when with one little push, we can be there. Do you know what I mean?
like I
And when you
said,
look
3
at,
times in 6 seasons, we're right there. We're
we're
right
there,
there.
and it's just a final push now, isn't it, for
And
success?
all it costs is 40
Mm,
million, 50 million pounds.
mm, I
And
know,
we're right there.
I know,
Four measly players could get
I
us
know.
to the promised land.
Could do, mate. And not only that, it ain't just the promised land of fourth. We could even win the Europa League. If we signed 4 players right now and said, right, we're bringing in them 4 players, right, left back, centre half, Lingard, and say a striker, then we are rocking and rolling, mate. Like we're on it. Do you know what I mean? I'm sorry, but when you got Yarmolenko as your backup striker and you're sitting on 115 bags a week,
It's
that to me
embarrassing.
that's embarrassing. Yeah, like, and when they're refusing Ariola's wages, right, and Ariola would be number 1 next year. I don't care what anyone says. Like Fabianski wouldn't be number 1 next season. I think if Ariola
He's
signed,
all. I think Fabianski's already came out and said he would. The words wouldn't. He didn't use the words concede, but he basically
yeah,
said that he would concede to
I think
the backup.
he would accept it, wouldn't he? Like he's been here a long time. He
Yeah.
knows Ariola's the younger, fitter, fresher
He's
goalkeeper.
a third captain for a reason.
But I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind Fabianski as a backup. But don't,
Absolutely not after this season.
yeah. Like, I'm not being funny or nothing. I'd happily say we get into, say, Europa League next season, right? You go and play Europa League games, Fab, and leave Ariola in the league. and that's how you sort of progress. It's no disgrace that Fabianski's going to be.
And I've told you this months ago
Yeah,
about like that's another thing with all the signings and why like how are we being so slow? We are attractive right now. We are not playing before we got knocked out of the Carabao Cup. We are not playing a bad match. We are in four competitions. There's not one bad match to be played. I don't understand why we're not using that to our
I
advantage.
think what it is in the month of December to sort of round it up. When we played Arsenal, that was the worst game I've seen West Ham play this season because we just got
Easily.
completely. What it is, and Paul's in the chat. Paul's an Arsenal fan, so Paul can probably relate to this. Being an Arsenal fan, you had Arsenal who spent 130 million plus on talent, and you had West Ham who had players in positions that shouldn't be there. You had we had a player sent off. You had Antonio at right back. It was like saying out of like a Sunday league team. Do you know what I mean? You're putting like people in like square pegs in round holes. But listen, we'll round it up at that. But we will see next week. Like this is just a little interesting video to
just one player, please. Just one.
Yeah.
Just one.
Just give us a bit of rope so we can put ourselves in. Do you know what I mean? But I'm going to ask you, Lucas, yes or no answer, mate. Do we sign anyone by next week? By next Sunday's game?
No.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep the hopes low.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you, mate.
If I had to put my money on it, I would say no. But
I think our first signing, Lucas, will be after the Man United game. That's the 23rd of January. I don't believe we do anything earlier than that.
I'm gonna say no, but following X and seeing all of his news from his podcast and stuff, I would say every day seems to get a little bit more positive, and we keep moving in the right direction. But we all know you can take as many little steps as you want, but that sometimes it's not going to equal a big step, no matter how 100%. Many little steps you take.
Yeah, if you keep taking little steps, you ain't going to get to where you want to be any faster. Do you know what I mean? So
a 6'4" man step is not the same as a 5'5" man step.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, mate. Anyway, I want to thank everyone in the chat tonight for watching this video. I really do appreciate all of you who's contributed with your comments and your opinions. Basically, this is what it's all about. Your opinions are valid as much as me and Lucas's. So yeah. Final thought for me is I need to liven up this bold. Like it's either the bold or Moyes, one of the two. If like something's got to give. Do you know what I mean? We need some players and we need some urgently. We are coping, but we are just coping at the minute. But one little derail and we can slide down that table. I don't want to see it at West Ham. I don't want to see it. And I agree with you, Lucas. Yeah, and we're one injury away from a disaster. So yeah. Anyway, Lucas, thanks for coming on tonight, mate. I really do appreciate it.
Always.
No worries, brother. Thank you very much. Anyway, if you're new, Randy, you like what I've been doing recently, please give me a subscribe. Please like the video. It goes a long way. It helps me out greatly. I'll be back again soon for other content. I might do a betting video tomorrow, but with COVID, I can never get. Well, I'll do the teams and I'll find out after the game's been called off because of COVID. So it's a bit tough at present. But stay locked on E20 Zone TV. I'll be back with this man very, very soon to do some more content with AFAs and everyone else who's on this channel. Anyway, take care. Be safe. If I don't speak to you before then, have a great weekend. And West Ham on Sunday. Come on. Let's beat Leeds. Bye for now.